Hello, welcome to the surprise Thursday stream. There's me. There I am. I clicked the right button. So yeah, I don't know. We got the kitchen cleaned up. I wasn't doing anything else. It's blazing hot, so I'm not going outside today. And also it's blazing hot, so I want something cool and refreshing. And also, just yesterday I was gifted some beets. So we're gonna use some beets. I've actually got some new ones and some slightly older ones. You may have noticed in the pile on the counter, some of them have very fresh leaves and some of them have a little bit wilty leaves. They're on the small side, so we're using a couple of them. But we're going to make borscht, which is something I've always wanted to try. I like beets, and borscht is essentially beet soup. But there's a million different variations of borscht. And from my reading, there's practically as many variations of borscht as there are towns in Eastern Europe. It's found across Russia, into China, into Ukraine, into Poland. It's widespread. The one I'm making today is a cold variety from somewhere in Ukraine. Not sure which oblast we are drawing from, but it's somewhere in Ukraine. It's Ukrainian style, which is cold and creamy. It should be great for a hot day like this. It's also vegetarian, and I'm actually going to skip the egg component. So it's got milk in it, so it's not vegan, but it's going to be vegetarian just incidentally. The hot versions typically aren't because they use a meat stock, but this is a cold version, so it's using a kefir base instead. And it's not going to be real complicated. So we're probably going to have a little bit of a shorter day, but that's fine. And I'm also going to throw my own twist on it because, near as I can tell, you can do almost anything as long as you're within a few basic parameters to make borscht. Borscht is a pretty flexible thing. It reminds me of curry in that way, where there's not just one curry. There's a million different curries. Well, there's a million different borscht. So I've got our beets here. Surprise! Welcome in. Hi. Yep, I'm doing a surprise. We've got our beets here. We've got some radishes. We've got some. I managed to find some Persian cucumbers, little tiny guys. This is mint from my garden. My dill, I planted dill. Sadly, my dill did not do well, and I don't have any leaves for it. So I went and bought some dill, because you need some dill for this. So, dill out of the package. Unfortunate. I did try planting dill, and it just didn't do well. I have to read up on what I did wrong. Beets, radish, dill, mint. The mint is my own twist. Mint is not a classic addition as far as I can tell, but I've got quite a lot of mint. My mint is growing like mad, and I want to try using it up, and it sounds like it would be a pretty refreshing addition. I'm going to have to rinse this mint because I literally just cut it a minute ago. I think I do have a recipe up, so I can look at a recipe, although I'm going to throw my own twist on it anyways. Radish, kefir, salt, black pepper, oil, garlic. No garlic. No garlic. Garlic's in the hot ones. They put garlic in the hot ones. Yogurt. Okay, well, let's get started. Move the herbs aside. Move everything except the beets aside. We're starting with the beets. Because even though this is a cold soup. The beets need to be cooked because they are too hard to eat uncooked. And we need a board for them so I do not get beet juice all over my countertop. So we're not using the tops today. I will save the tops. As I mentioned, some of them are a little bit... These guys, this one is brand new. It was literally picked yesterday. These ones were picked sometime last week and have gone a little wilty, and some of their leaves are just going to be pulled off and discarded at this point because they've gone a little bit too far. I didn't get to them. I should have cut the leaves right away. They keep better without the leaves, but oh well, most of these leaves are okay as long as they don't need to be served for something fancy. I was thinking maybe a pesto, because you can make a pesto out of these things. But we need to get the stemmy bits off of our beet, and I actually don't know what these look like on the inside either, and we're not going to find out until, let's cut it there. We're not really going to find out until they're all cooked and we cut into them at the end. Because they need to be boiled whole for this recipe. We are boiling them and then skinning them. Thus far, the only thing I've done to them is rinse them off. Okay. Beet greens are a lot like... beet greens are actually a lot like chard because chard is related to beets. They're a closely related plant. So anything you could use chard for, you can use beet greens for. Although the beet greens are a little bit tougher than your typical chard because they haven't been bred for tender leaves and stems. The leaves are pretty tender, but the stems will be a little bit more fibrous on beets in my experience. We only need a few beets for this. I'm using 4 because I've got these little tiny ones. We could have used the big ones here. I've got some larger ones. I would have used 2 of these, but I've opted to save those because they are fresher and use up some of the slightly older ones because they're slightly older. So let's pop over to the stove, get out a pot, put our beets in our pot. The smaller ones also, I think, will cook faster and require less total volume of water. We're putting cold water in the pan with them because cooking something that grows below the ground, start it in cold water and bring it up to a boil. That's the rule. And we're leaving the skins on to hopefully not leach all the purple color out into the water as they're cooking. That's all we need to do for those guys. So they're gonna broil away, and we're just gonna sit over here and prep other things. I suspect I'm gonna have some wait time. You're supposed to also chill the soup when it's done, and I might skip that part. These are some big radishes I got here too. Unexpectedly large radish time. I don't believe I've ever delved into this cuisine before, this genre of cuisine before. Sort of Eastern European thing. Borscht is probably a cliched version. Like, oh, everyone knows about borscht, but do you know about real thing that isn't as publicized. I don't have another thing to say. So we're supposed to matchstick most of our radish and then save some circles for garnishing. And I want to get that little stem off of there as well. So yeah, how's everyone's Thursday going? Ooh, I never get to ask about Thursdays. Who knows? Maybe no one will show up because it's Thursday. And I was like, surprise, Thursday. I should get a little dish to hold my matchsticks. So our goal, our ultimate goal, eventually, is to make a bubblegum pink, a Barbie pink soup. This is supposed to turn a shocking color, a shocking shade of hot pink, if done properly, and be cool and refreshing at the same time. And actually, the way I'm reading through this, it almost sounds more like a salad, but it's like a liquid salad. So everything in it is fresh, bright vegetable flavors. Except the dressing is in such large quantities that it becomes a soup. Which is strange. And I wanted to do this. I wanted to do this because I was just gifted the beets. We were just gifted the beets. I want an equal quantity of beet and cucumber. So take the little nubbins off. And I like these little Persian cucumbers. I don't usually buy them because they are more expensive than the big ones. And you get, although you don't buy them one at a time, you usually buy them in a package of a bunch of them. So actually I bought a package of 6 of them for $4. You get less cucumber for your buck when you buy Persian cucumbers because they are smaller, but I like them. They're very nice. So if you want something fancy, I appreciate these little Persian cucumbers. The alternative is to get one of those English cucumbers that you can get for like, I don't know, $1, $1.50, something. I'm taking my time matchsticking this stuff because we are going to run a little bit out of or into time to kill mode during this cook for sure. Because we're boiling the beets, and then the beets need to cool off. Although again, I picked smaller ones, which will speed that process. It'll speed both of those processes up. Because we need to peel them and grate them, which means we need to be able to handle them. Uh, Water is at a full boil. We're going to bring it down to about an 8.5 so it doesn't spit too badly. The red from the beets is bleeding out into the water a bit. Hopefully it doesn't bleed too much. Now that it's at a full boil, we're going to look at my time because it has to boil until they're fork tender. But that's going to be at least 20 minutes. Maybe a little bit less because they're quite small. Okay, more radish for sure to balance out that one cucumber. Take the tip off. Take the tip off. See how I can't do these a little bit more efficiently by stacking them onto each other. Oh. So, how's things? Aside from hot. It's hot. The forecast for this week was not projected to be blazing hot. It was supposed to be pretty stable, sort of mid 80s. And then yesterday jumped into the 90s, and then today is again in the 90s, and we're having just the heat came back. The heat did not stay away, and I hate it. I am not a heat guy. I live in the frozen north. I like the cold. Well, I like the medium. The medium cold. We're gonna just slice up a little bit of this guy for a topper, because we're supposed to have some to garnish the top with. That are still circles. Which leaves us with a little bit of extra. We're going to grab the smallest radish in my package of radishes. The radishes came pre-topped. Eat some delicious radish. Mmm. Radish is so like crunchy and refreshing. Just a little bit of, just a hint of pepperiness to it. Mmm. And these little red ones are, of course, a little bit more peppery and less sweet than the big white ones that I have used more often. I like those big daikon radishes, but they are a distinct flavor that is not for every application. Eat the ones that aren't nice little circles. Perfect. Okay. Those are our topper pieces. Mm. Now, we're supposed to use dill and parsley for this, but I want to try some of this mint that I've been growing, that has been growing wildly. We're going to rinse it off quick. I planted mint in a container, but it is growing madly. So I got to use it up for something. So I'm going to give it a go here. Don't need the stems. I think if I had this just planted as a mint patch, I would go and pick the leaves directly. But since I am trying to kind of beat it back a little bit, I am also, we're going to save that piece. I'm also cutting the stems because I want I want the whole plant to kind of get knocked back a couple of notches. We're saving a little bit for garnish there. This is chocolate mint, which is a cultivar of peppermint that has a slightly sweet note to it. It's not like it's sugary, but it's got a slightly sweet note to it that kind of mellows out the sharpness of the peppermint. Great for desserts that call for mint. It also has these lovely sort of brown accents that make it sometimes hard to tell if the thing is wilty or not. It certainly smells minty. Wow! I may have picked too much mint here. I may have selected too much mint. Yeah, the mint is, wow. It is definitely one of those things you got to keep in a container if you don't want it to just take over. It will take over because it spreads via really aggressive rhizomes. So it actually can climb out of a pot as well if the pot is too close to the ground. It'll run those rhizome runners over the edge of the pot into the ground and start spreading that way. So mint. For the dill, which again I had to buy dill because my dill that I planted has failed. We're going to get rid of the thick part of the stems as well. And then we're going to take the mint and the dill and our big knife and mince them together. My phone is ringing, so I'm going to mute you and go see what that's about. We're back. Are we back? Well, I'm back. Are you back? Yeah, okay, you're back. It's the first time I've had a phone call that I actually answered during a stream. We probably should add the parsley as well. Because making this like a fresh herbaceous thing seems important to the overall like freshness. So I'm gonna go grab. I've got some parsley. I haven't actually looked at it in a little bit. It might be a little bit sad. An ad coming up in a minute and a half. Which one of you is parsley? It's this one. Take a peek at it off the side so nobody else can see how sad it looks. It's a little sad. It's not the worst I've ever seen, but it's a little sad. Get some of the less sad looking bits of it. Throw those in there. Oop. It's a little sad. Parsley is one of those things I've tried growing as well. And I don't know, I'm just bad at growing certain things, I guess. Because my parsleys have always been a fail. They live. They don't just die on me, but they don't produce enough leaves to use. So then I can't. I just end up taking care of the plant and not harvesting any parsley from it. Because you can't take leaves from a plant and not leave it any to live with. They need those. I'm getting another phone call. If this is the same thing, I am going to just hang up on them. Okay, that one was spam. Ad is playing. Ad time. Okay. That is some well pulverized mixed herbs. We need those to be in a pot. Get those in a pot. Or not in a pot, in a bowl. A pot. What am I saying? A bowl. This bowl. Yeah, we are in the midst of an ad break. If you're seeing an ad right now, then you're not seeing me. And if you're not seeing an ad right now, then thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. You can tell this knife is not very sharp because I'm running my finger along the blade to get these herbs off and not cutting myself. Nice. Okay. The water over here on the stove. The water is taking on color. So I'm hoping we still have the color in the beet, that we haven't boiled it all out of them. They have their skins on, but in order to get the beautiful color in the finished borscht, there needs to be color in the beet. So maybe we should test them for doneness now. They've only been in there for 15 minutes, but they're not very big. So, but they're not very big. Let me fish one out. They still look right on the outside. Let's fish one out and poke it with a fork, because they're supposed to be fork tender. It bleeds pink, and I can stab right through the middle with a fork. So I think that means they're done. Our small beets here have donified faster than projected. Maybe. Well, the little tiny ones will have for sure. I'm not sure what to do with the rest of this water, because I think it's just going to get poured down the drain as slightly gross root water. Yeah, there's no like hard nugget in the middle, and it's still got its nice redness coming out on the fork there. Let's move them over. They need to cool off, so it would be good to spread them. They need to cool enough that I can handle them. So I'm going to pour this water out. The water is a gross, like, dark yellow color. The color that extracted out of these guys, the color that extracted out of these guys into the water did not retain its bright pink hue. But as you can see, there's still plenty of that hue in the beet because it is bleeding out onto the plate here. And they are hot. So once they're chilled out a little bit, we can get the skins off, because we're not keeping the skins on this time. I have kept the skins on in the past because I did salt bake, which actually tenderizes the skin quite a bit. For this, we want the skins off. But they're hot. So I'm going to have to let them cool off a bit. And also, that's all I've got left to prep. Let me put these greens away. The greens are probably going to have to be eaten by tomorrow, because now that they're separated from the roots, they're going to start going off real quick. That's why I didn't separate the greens right away, because I didn't want the greens to go off super fast. Because the greens are good eating too. But they get a little wilty, even not done super fast. Got some kefir. We could have boiled an egg in that. I'll pour the water out. We could have boiled an egg in that hot water and had a hard-boiled egg, which is supposed to be a common borscht topping. I could practice a hard-cooked egg. What do you think? What do you think? While I'm waiting for these guys to stop steaming so much that I can't even touch them. Probably not. Probably don't need an egg. I think there's going to be plenty without it. These fruit flies are getting up in my biz. I don't like it. So we've got a little bit of time because the exteriors are already getting to the point where I can touch them. They're still steaming. Let's do this way so that they cut end can vent a little bit. They are still steaming a little bit though. Be careful with beet juice. Whenever you're cooking with beets, be careful with the beet juice. That stuff stains like mad. My fingers are going to be all red after this. It stabilizes pretty well. So it's not like you get it on your fingers and then you end up touching everything and make everything else red for days and days. Once it's on your fingers, it stabilizes and stays on your fingers, but it stays on your fingers and you got red fingers. We're counting on that color for the soup. I like beets. I need to eat more beets. Beets are one of those things, every time I have them, I'm like, oh, those are good. I should have those more often, and then I don't. And I say that about a lot of things. I think I just like food. Whenever I eat it, I'm like, ooh, I should have that again. And then I have something else. I'm like, ooh, I should have that again. I think we're just at a stage of I like everything to a degree. Let's get out a container to mix the soup in, as well as to store it later when I end up not eating all of it. Although we might end up eating all of it. We might just actually eat this entirely in one go. Measuring cup. No, not that measuring cup. The glass measuring cup. It's easier to scrub out. Measuring cup. We're going to measure out 2 cups of kefir, which is a yogurt-like liquid milk. It has a yogurty flavor. If you're not familiar, I know people are familiar because it's sold in regular grocery stores. But if you're not familiar, it's got a yogurt-like flavor and smell, but it's, as you can see, pourable. And it's named for kefir grains, which are a yeast, specific kind of yeast native to the Caucasus region, which are the Caucasus Mountains in Eastern Europe, from which the term Caucasian originates. So this is like the original white people food. Ugh. There's a puddle. Where's this puddle? Oh, I know what the puddle's from. Never mind. There's a puddle over here. Where did this puddle come from? I know where the puddle came from. It's because I rinsed my beets off before I put them on display, so they were a bit damp. So 2 cups of kefir is our liquid base. I'm going to construct the soup directly in this storage dish. Since we don't need to cook the soup at from this point forward, there's no reason to put it into a pot. It just needs to be in a bowl. And since I'm uncertain if I'm going to eat the whole thing in one sitting, especially since it's supposed to be better after an overnight rest, especially in terms of the color, it's supposed to turn a just like straight up bubblegum Barbie hot pink when it's fully rested. We will probably only have a little bit of pink. Because the beet juice has to sort of extract. Speaking of the beets, they are going to be the next thing that has to go in there. I can handle them, so I'm going to say that they're good. We're going to get the skins off gently. I've got a peeler ready, but you should, in theory, be able to just kind of, yeah, do that. Peel the skins away. My camera's sagging again. Yes, of course it is. That's why I'm always at the bottom edge. So the skins just kind of peel away from a boiled beet. And then you get beet blood all over your hands. The skins are edible. I've proven that before, but they are a little tough. This one had a blemish on the skin, so we'll see if that's more than skin deep. It probably isn't. This one has a little divot, or no, not this one. This one has a little divot in it, so that's definitely more than skin deep. The blemish on this one appears to literally have only been skin deep, so that's good. That's good. I don't have to lose any of my beet in the skinning process for this one, at least. The skins are pretty thin, too, so they can be a little bit tricky to get a hold of if they don't just slide off easily immediately. They should, in theory, slide off easily. The blemish actually on this one is, it's only skin deep, but the blemish doesn't want to peel away quite as easily. So it is something, it's more than a discoloration. It's something wrong with the skin of the beet. They don't need to be pretty, because we're gonna matchstick these as well. You can get the red off of your fingertips by waiting for it to wear away. Or, if you don't mind lots of pain, boiling your hands, which is not recommended at all. Please don't boil your hands. See, that one's peeling much more easily. That one was a little bit problematic. This guy is just falling apart. It's recommended to use gloves for this so that you don't get the beet juice all over your fingers. But whatever. Oh no! Oh no! Ah, shoot! I was trying to keep it all contained to the cutting board. But they're slippery when they're skinless, and that one just got a spot on my countertop that I'm now going to have to get cleaned up very quickly. Does the divot have skin in it? Not really. the murder scene over here. Okay. Short rinse, grab my last paper towel off the roll, and quickly get that up before it stains. Because again, you can get it off. I've gotten it off before, but I would rather just not have it set in the first place. Also, wear an apron. I'm wearing an apron today, but wear an apron when you're working with beets. They'll make a mess. The stains on your clothes are much harder to get out than the stains on things like plastic and countertop and skin. Where'd I put the box grater? The box grater. Okay. Slide the whole shebang. No, we'll slide the actual nuggets over. Put this here. And no, I should grate. I should be smart about this. We're going to get rid of the skins. The skins have also some of the earthiness that people don't like in beets. I like the earthy flavor. I think it's a good complement to the sweetness, because beets are very sweet, which is part of why I thought to use mint, because mint is often a good complement to sweet. Although that's coming from a like American perspective. So I'm going to grate the beets onto the board rather than try to no, they grate very easily. Which is good. They were supposed to grate very easily. That was the point of boiling them. So we can grate them super easily and make a bloody mess out of them. Oop. They are definitely slippery. I wouldn't want to do this on something with really razor sharp blades. Box grater. I know people are. I know some people personally who are kind of afraid they're going to cut themselves when they're using a box grater. I think that a box grater is so dull you can just mash your hand into it and it won't cut you. I'm literally doing that for these. I'm mashing my fingers in at the end to get the end of the nub in there. Because box graters are meant for things that are on the softer side. They're not meant for grating something that's really hard. At least this side isn't. The pointy side, the other side, that side is meant for things that are a little bit harder. I wouldn't grate a block of Parmesan cheese on the large holes side because it wouldn't do anything. Get our beet out of there. Don't worry, there's no blood involved. I didn't cut myself. And even if I did, you couldn't tell because this is all a horrific bloody mess. Beets! Also be aware if you're eating beets, the red is very persistent in your digestive system. You will notice it tomorrow. Okay, our beet mush goes in our kefir. Oh, I got beet mush on the countertop as well. Okay. This guy is probably going to be pink for weeks. We can attempt to rinse it now. It is plastic, so oh, actually, it's coming off fairly easily. Probably because I'm doing it right away before it has a chance to set in. I've done this with the wooden one before, and it actually rinsed off quite well. I'll show you. It rinsed off quite well. I've done that with the wooden one before, and the beet stains literally did last for weeks. They're tenacious on certain surfaces, so use a plastic cutting board if you don't want persistent purple marks on your board. Oh, see, I didn't get to these quite fast enough, and they are setting in already. Unfortunately, this material is also not one that they soak into, so we can clean that up real quick before those dry too badly. Move our borscht to the middle again and start stirring. And this should start to turn a color like so. Like so. And we take our radishes and cucumbers and our herbs. Well, we've got the color I was shooting for. Shocking hot pink. We need some salt, because this is currently an unsalted soup. So we need a bit of salt. Get that herb out of there. And I'm going to use some white pepper, if I can find my white pepper, so that there aren't little black specks in here. A little bit of pep. White pepper is the same plant as black pepper, but it is processed in a different way to get rid of the skins of the black pepper, leaving only the white interiors. And that's it. I expected this to take around an hour, and you know what? It's taken around an hour. I'm not serving it in this. We're going to serve it in one of my new black bowls. I expected this to be a short one, which is why, I started a little bit later than usual, so that I could line it up with my own dinner time. And also, there's no B. There was no B. I said A as though there was a B, but there was never going to be a B. I thought I would think of something as I was saying the first thing, so I hedged my bets. It's very pink. It's so pink. We're going to serve it in this black bowl because I think that will make the pink pop even more. Snooze that ad. This will also be my eating spoon. I should probably taste it for seasoning as well. The flavors will merge as it sort of rests. So, ooh, whoa. Whoa. It's a heck of a thing. I may have added too much mint. Tiny bit of salt, but tiny bit of pepper. By tiny bit, I mean a good amount. Yeah, I should have called this Barbie soup. Stir it around, stir it around, stir it around. And then it's supposed to rest for at least 30 minutes to let the flavors meld and let the color really fully develop. And also, you're supposed to ideally rest it overnight to really merge all the flavors. We have plenty of color, so I'm going to go ahead and do service for my photos. What do you think about the black bowl? Is that right, or should I use a white bowl? Nope. We're going to have to clean up the bowl. I just think the black bowl is new, and it's supposed to be for light colored things to help them sort of pop out. I need a paper towel because we're going to clean up these little speckles because we can't have little weird speckles. Okay. Pink soup, and then it gets garnished with a few little pieces of cucumber, a few little pieces of radish, our flowering mint sprig. Oop, nope. Our flowering mint sprig and a dill frond. And there you have it. And there you have it. It was a nice quick cook today. It sure is a color. It sure is a color. We have an ad coming up. I tell you what, I'm going to run that ad right now, and while it's running, take photos. so that I don't have to snooze the ad and we can end casually instead of having to race at the end to get it out before an ad plays on us. Where did I put my photo machine? There you are. Okay, lots of photos. I might, since I've got lots here, I might plate it in a white plate as well. See if that looks any better. I think the black works with this shocking pink thing. Oh, and I'm back before the ad is done. Great. We will taste it. You're all back. We will taste it now, officially, with all the bits and pieces, and I will talk about it. Mmm. Mmm. It eats like a soup, but it tastes like a salad. It's bright and it's crunchy. It's creamy and it's not like overwhelming. You know what I forgot? You know what I forgot for the plating? There's supposed to be a little dollop of yogurt on the top as well. I've already disturbed the surface, so I'm not going to do that now. But a little dollop of yogurt. Well, nah. I think it's creamy enough without the yogurt, honestly. I do think I added a little bit too much mint. The mint is coming through rather strongly. Both the mint flavor and the cooling aspect of the mint. But I don't hate it. I think I would just dial it back a bit. I think we overshot. I really like how it's this sort of fresh, crunchy, it tastes so salad-like. But it's also like sour and tangy. It's creamy and sour and tangy. And it's also this wonderful, bright, fresh crunchiness. This is great. This is really good, guys. And it's nice and cooling. I was supposed to, and I didn't do this because I didn't want to literally stand around for half an hour. You're supposed to chill it for half an hour, not just to merge the flavors together, but to make sure that it is very cold, because it's supposed to be served not just chilled, not just like room temp cold, but like chilled cold. It is very good at this temp, and all of my ingredients except for the beets were cold going into it. They were fridge cold going into it. So it's only a little bit above fridge temp on account of the beets being warm when they went in. I'm not sure what else I can say about it. The color is wonderful. This is definitely something shocking to put on a plate and serve to people. This would be a lovely like starter soup for a multi-course thing, because it's light and fresh and salad-like. I can't emphasize how much this eats like a soup but tastes like a salad. It's really good. I'm looking forward to polishing this bowl off on account of it being my dinner and also it being like a hot day, and have a nice sort of cooling, refreshing this. I'm also super impressed that we achieved the shocking hot pink color without having to add any dye to it. All natural. That's the power of beets. I need to eat beets more often. This also does not have, now that I'm mentioning the beets, this does not have the earthiness of the beets to it. That is definitely not present here. It is hidden by the freshness of the other ingredients. Nope, I just saw the top of my head. So, if you've never had this, it only takes about an hour. It's super good. I would dial back the mint and or leave the mint out completely. The recipe does not call for mint. Mint was me throwing some mint in because I wanted some mint. It definitely doesn't turn this into a dessert. Definitely doesn't turn this into a sweet dish. I can make it again too because I've got more radishes, more cucumbers, and more beets, as well as just more of itself. Well, I hope you enjoyed. Have a surprise stream at an odd time for a shorter than normal span. I had fun with this. I know people didn't really turn out because I was surprise. But yeah, no, this was a thumb up from me. 2 thumbs up from me. This is good. I would make this again. But yeah, that's all I've got for today. I wasn't planning a big, long, crazy work today. Just this little fun thing to use some ingredients that I had just been gifted. So let's bring you back over here. And I'm going to sign us off. We're going to do a short one and sign us off early today. Where are we going to go? There should be different people on than normal because it's a Thursday. So let's see who's on. There's a million people on a Thursday. Let's see. People playing Baldur's Gate. Diablo 4. We could bug LaFay again. A lot of people playing Baldur's Gate. Let's go say hi to Hecky, I think. Hecky. Let's go say hi to Hecky. With my, what, 1 viewer? Aw. 3. We've visited Hecky before. She's from Sweden. She's going to tell you that when we arrive, that she's from Sweden. She's been playing Fallout New Vegas, which is my favorite Fallout game, and the best one, best written one as far as I'm aware. I don't know if she knows about Borscht. We can tell her all about Borscht. I don't know if Borscht makes it into Sweden or not. This was great. This was great, and the pictures are going to be super nice with this glorious, shocking pink. I don't have to cut myself short today because I'm not being rudely interrupted by the door this time. So we will do our normal sort of slow, let the countdown go out. I will be back on Saturday. I'm not sure what I'm going to make, but it should be something shareable because one of my friends is painting part of his house, and he's bringing people over, so I should bring something over to share with those folks since I'll be late. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for showing up. Bye.